BaconBit.
No. Welcome to Bacon Cell, everyone. This is a BaconBit. I'm Joel.
I'm Kent. And Jacob.
And today we're talking about The Mummy.
Are you my mummy?
Are you my mummy?
It's The Mummy with Tom Cruise.
We just made a Doctor Who reference.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
It's the beginning of the Dark Universe, Kent.
The Dark Universe, you say?
Yes. But we're going to get into that later because we want to let you know up front we're going to be doing a review of the Mummy movie. However, the first however long we want to talk is going to be spoiler free. So you're welcome to listen to it if you haven't seen the movie.
Like me.
And then we'll get into the spoiler full.
Okay. Jake, I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Don't be sorry?
Don't be sorry.
Why shouldn't he be sorry?
Because Jacob could have claimed his ticket.
What are you talking about?
Had he asked earlier. But he was like, no, you know.
I actually asked for this in like February.
I'm not going to commit.
You asked for this movie specifically?
I'm not going to commit.
Yeah, this is my...
Unless you have a text, it's not going to...
This is the anticipated one.
We're not going to believe it.
This is the one... There was this and...
He's right, Joel.
Yeah.
I brought the wrong guy.
Did you, though?
I don't know.
Because he didn't tell you he was coming until like 5 minutes before.
Here's what I've been doing lately. This is behind the scenes. On Messenger, I say, there's another movie on Tuesday. Who can come? Because I don't want to choose because at this
playing
point...
footsie with me.
Actually, my foot hasn't moved.
Your foot is... Look, it's across the table.
You're literally just touching my unmoving
Jake,
foot.
you're acting a bit leisurely right here. Your foot is like on Joel's.
Yes. No, stop.
Are you doing that on purpose?
That time I did.
So, Ken gets on Messenger.
Yes. And I say, all right, Mummy on Tuesday, who's coming? And I really should just take anyone else so I don't have to deal with the awkwardness. But
It's not awkwardness.
It is a little bit. And then Joel's like, me? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure Jake asked for this one in February.
No. You said,
it might have been January,
hey,
actually.
is anyone available Tuesday? And Jacob said, I'm not. And I said, I could probably go. That's
Right.
what the conversation
Actually,
was.
I just didn't respond.
It's pretty typical.
That's pretty much a no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I don't feel so bad
I mean,
anymore.
didn't respond right away. I responded
So then
later.
5 minutes,
and said
Ken and I
could
are
make it.
walking into the theater. 5 minutes before, Jacob's like, oh, by the way, I can come.
It was the day before, but yeah.
He said, I'll try to come. It was that morning.
No, it was that morning. It was the day of.
He
Was it
said,
the
I'll
morning?
try to come.
Yeah.
And I'm like, +1, buddy. +1.
Yeah, no, it's all right. And then I made some jokes about how I was going to show up at the theater and then tell you guys I didn't hold any grudge or anything. Just
watch us walk
like
in.
you guys have fun. I'm totally happy with this.
I'm just going to go see
Captain
what's
Underpants.
playing. Yeah.
It was great, by the way.
Anyway, The Mummy.
So the Mummy. Joel, you and I, we went and saw this movie.
We saw this movie.
Sorry,
And
Jake, we're going to try to not spoil so much. Maybe we'll warn you if we get into a major spoiler.
Okay.
In the spoiler full
If
territory.
we get into crazy spoilers, I may step aside.
Okay.
Step out.
So,
crazy spoilers.
Joel?
Not yet. That wasn't the...
oh,
that wasn't
yeah.
thing
Not
yet.
good. Don't get crazy.
Yeah, let's hear it. What do you
spoiler-free.
guys think? Should I go see it? Did I miss something
Ken,
cool?
you want to go first?
Should we talk about the Dark Universe first? Is that okay to mention?
yeah,
sure.
let's hear it.
Yeah.
That's the context, right?
So they're using this as a launch pad, McQuack, for...
Blatherskites. Did you just make a Launchpad McQuack reference?
Great one. But they're using the Mummy to launch this dark universe where they've already cast, I think it's Frankenstein's monster, Javier Bardem, the Invisible Man, Johnny Depp. Who else?
That's all I really remember.
That's all so far.
That's all that matters.
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
And then they've already talked about a Hunchback. They're going to do a Phantom of the Opera and Dracula, obviously.
So are they going forward with all of these regardless of how the Mummy does?
That's the question.
That's the
because
question.
They say, hey, like these classic Universal movie monsters, we're going to do a shared universe with all these movie monsters together. And they lead off when you have an array like Dracula, Wolfman, Frankenstein, like these classic movie monsters. Why do you start out with the Mummy?
Yeah.
I don't get it. And so if these movies do well, which they'll probably do fine, they'll continue this universe.
Maybe the Mummy is like their equivalent of the Iron Man.
That's what Kent and I said.
Right. Look, it's Tom Cruise. He's a headliner. And like, you almost can't lose
Oh, it was
with
Tom Cruise. I knew I recognized that guy from somewhere.
But I will say already before our review, which we're actually going to get to someday.
Jump into it.
This will not win. This will not beat Wonder Woman at the box office.
Not this weekend.
No,
And I
Wonder
think it will
Woman's
be
got
seen
tons
as a
of steam.
slight disappointment. I think worldwide it will do well, and they'll make another one.
Internationally, I think it'll do fine.
but yes. Okay,
Ken,
so
go
now
first.
our review.
All right.
Go first, Kenny D.
Real quick story. Tom Cruise is an antiquities dealer, meaning he sells artifacts on the black market. He's basically Nathan Drake.
He's basically Tom Cruise.
He's basically Tom Cruise, but
He's
it's
Tom Cruise.
It's Tom Cruise from Edge of Tomorrow, where he doesn't. He's kind of a coward. He runs away from a lot of things, and he tries to be a smooth talker.
Is he not in the military?
He works with them alongside them.
Yeah.
So he's Nathan Drake, you said?
Yeah, he's kind of like Nathan Drake.
Not as suave, but yes.
Okay.
Right. So basically, he stumbles on this crypt, and it's more of a prison than a tomb.
We'll get to that.
Yes. And so they unearth a mummy. things go poorly.
Mummy's cursed, yada, yada, yada.
Yada, yada, yada.
Right,
Movie
we've seen the
ends.
trailer.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise runs from sand.
Yes. Full speed run as Tom Cruise does. Okay, there's the plot. Now go with your review.
This movie, it started out for the first 30 minutes. I was really, really not into it. I had low expectations going in. Jake Johnson, who's in New Girl, plays the comic relief.
Yep.
Does a pretty terrible job. I don't know if you'd agree. I will get into that. He is purposely trying to be funny, and Tom Cruise is trying to be cool Tom Cruise. Mm-hmm. Actually, when Jake Johnson isn't in as much, Tom Cruise is able to shine in a comedic leading role. He plays up the camp in a movie that's not really campy other than him. And so there's a lot of action here.
That's interesting.
It's an action thriller because it tries to be a bit scary. There are mummies and zombies.
So he's making sure he's not Ethan Hawke, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
And so it actually look, Tom Cruise really worked for me because he plays the same type of character from Edge of Tomorrow.
You know, he plays the same type of character in every movie he's in.
I disagree. See, I think
His
he's
range
either
is
really
very limited.
I don't know. So I actually really like Christopher McQuarrie, who directed Mission Impossible 5.
Jack Reacher.
Jack Reacher as well.
No, he's a good guy.
They work really well together, and he helped write this one. I think he and Tom Cruise they know each other very well. So he did Tom Cruise a big favor here because without him, I think this movie would be hard to watch, but it's actually kind of fun. I enjoyed this movie more than I thought I would.
Okay.
I didn't feel connected really to the characters or really to the weight of the action, but I had fun. This was a fun adventure for me. I'm giving this one a B.
Okay.
A B.
Yeah.
That's
Joel?
pretty generous for Kent, right?
Yeah, it's actually very generous because I'm giving this a C minus.
Yeah. I thought you would.
This movie
C minus. Wow.
This movie was a ripoff of many other movies that I like. Like,
well, it's supposed to be, though, right?
no, I'm saying like, oh, sure, it's a ripoff of The Mummy, but Raiders of the Lost Ark, American Werewolf in London, almost every treasure hunting movie I've seen. It was cliche after cliche after cliche. Now, that being said, if you've ever been on a slide and you're not climbing up the ladder slide, you're climbing up the slide. And you climb up a couple little ways and you slide back down and you climb up and your foot slips again.
I love this metaphor.
That was the movie for me, where I was like, oh, I'm enjoying this. Oh, that was stupid. Oh, I'm enjoying this. Oh, that was pretty stupid. And so I kept kind of going up and down. As I said, almost every movie I go into starts at 3 stars, meaning like,
Right.
this is good. It's
Like
a C.
C minus, would you say? Oh, C. That's
It's a C
C3.
average.
Okay.
Because like Kent and I talked about, 75% of the movies in the world ever made are probably C's.
Yes.
Average. It's not a bad score. It's just not anything, exceptional. So this movie, I went into it and I'm like, hey, that was really the plane scene, which they show in the trailers. That was great.
It was cool.
That was one of the that may be worth going to see the movie for that scene because that was a lot of fun. And there were other parts where I was like, oh, this is really, really entertaining. But then I kept sliding down that slide again, and I kept getting lower and lower. And then at the end, I kind of just fell off the end of the slide and went, I almost liked it, but I didn't quite get there. So that's why the minus.
So what's the weakness here?
I feel like
The
the
directing,
weakness,
the writing, what?
the writing was very lazy. Like there were lines you could predict before they ever say them. I'll get into it in the spoiler full version. I didn't hate the movie. Like I didn't hate it, but I just didn't like it. And so that's why I'm knocking it down, because I feel like it was a lot of the same old, same old. It didn't know if it wasn't scary enough to be a horror. No. It wasn't funny enough to be a comedy. And it wasn't action-packed enough to be like a summer thriller blockbuster action movie. Like Wonder Woman.
It sounds
Honestly,
like a Marvel movie, honestly.
That's why it didn't feel like one. It felt like the anti-blockbuster to me because there wasn't the action there, but I was still having a good time with it. I enjoy sliding down slides.
Well, I enjoy sliding them, not when I'm trying to climb up to the top, though.
Right, but then, you have to keep going. For me, the weakness here was Russell Crowe. When they do this, the whole second act is almost with Russell Crowe. I don't want to get too much into this.
But he's his father from Krypton. And
They show...
He is in this movie, too.
They showed too much too soon. It could have been saved for another movie. It didn't quite fit here. The things I enjoyed were visually... I want to get into spoilers.
Well, before we get in there, I'll say the visual effects were also entertaining. There's some parts that are pretty CGI, but there's some effects that I'm like, that looks pretty cool. And so I enjoyed that. I do feel like the what's her name, Sophia Boutella, who played the Mummy, she did a good job, I thought, and I thought Tom Cruise was Tom Cruise, and we'll get into the rest of it in spoiler full. But I felt like this was a weaker movie, and I don't know why they started out with the Mummy. I will also say, and this is just full disclosure, cards on the table, fellas, that I didn't like the '90s Mummy. I thought it was
never
ridiculous.
Not even like the the fun brought by Brendan Fraser, the adventurer.
No, when he lifts up that kitty, he's like, "Look at what I got." I was just like,
Right.
what is this
But
movie?
Rachel Weisz is in that, in like her glory days.
She is.
You didn't have fun with that movie?
I didn't like it, and it's
It's a bit
because
cheesy.
This makes me concerned.
well, and it's because I had I was a big fan of the Universal movie monsters as a kid, having not even seen some of the movies. So then, as an adult, I was like, I need to watch The Mummy. So I pulled it out, I watched it. Even the original Boris Karloff 40s Mummy is not. It's pretty boring. And so I just thought to myself, okay, maybe finally I'll get a mummy movie that I'll like. I still haven't seen a good mummy movie. So that's my spoiler-free review.
Okay, let's move on to spoilers.
Okay.
Is there a mummy song? Walk like an Egyptian?
Mummy, mummy, mummy,
Oh, yeah.
mummy, 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 spoilers.
So
Wow.
stupid.
Okay,
That's
we're in-
bad. We were desperate on that one.
We're in the spoiler
Take
full
two.
area, meaning we are going to talk about elements of the movie now. In fact, I'm going to look at the clock and see what we clocked at so I can mark that on the thing.
Spoiler here, because that's where we're going. Jake Johnson from New Girl dies. I was very happy to see this.
And that was shocking.
It was shocking and it was cool. And all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, there are zombies in this movie. And I know, Joel, it didn't seem like you really enjoyed it.
This seems like a big spoiler to give me right away.
This is in the first
You're like
act.
main character.
First,
Die.
no,
Oh,
first
yeah.
act
Sorry,
kind of
Jake.
stuff.
Yes.
And
Remember,
that was
spoilers.
that was the American Werewolf in London thing, because he dies and then he comes back as like his buddy who's giving him advice. So he'll appear to him as
Did you ever see American Werewolf in London?
Yeah.
Remember the guy who
his
kept
decaying corpse, his buddy?
And he was funny.
Oh, yeah.
And that was
Like,
a great element of American Wolf in London. Doesn't work here.
See,
in fact, he comes and goes as the plot demands.
But for me, I was okay with it because I never liked him. And then when he was dead, I could never tell if he was giving good advice or bad advice. Clearly, it was usually bad. But I enjoyed the fact that it was like, oh, hey, there's the element from American Werewolf in London that I really enjoyed. So I liked that little. I'm not going to call it a love letter because maybe it wasn't. Maybe they just stole it.
I think they just stole it.
But I enjoyed it. And the fact is that like I couldn't really tell throughout the movie who was good and who was bad. Because that was never made quite clear for me.
No, it was pretty ambiguous.
Yeah.
And the other thing I talked about them ripping off, like Raiders of the Lost Ark, just an example. Tom Cruise is there. The general's yelling at him, your mouth is riding checks your body can't cash, whatever he was saying. Cliche.
Tom Cruise could cash
Cliche,
those checks, by the
cliche,
way. He looked amazing.
No, he did. How is that man like 50?
Honestly, I'm calling it right now. He could play Nathan Drake. I wouldn't bat an eye. And
I'd be okay with that.
Amazing.
No, he looked good.
so
And I'm like, he's old.
Here you going on
But it
about
looks
Tom
great.
Cruise.
But he's sitting there, he's getting chewed out by the general, and then this girl walks up.
And he's like, I hate snakes.
This girl walks up, slaps him in the face, and is like, "How dare you!" And like out of nowhere, like she just appears on this site and slaps him and says, "How dare you!" And I'm like, "Oh, that's Marion." They're basically stealing the starting of Raiders of the Lost Ark in that relationship here, and then the two hate each other until they don't.
She's a way better Marion than Marion. I mean, not acting wise, but in other ways.
You're saying looks.
Yeah. Okay. No, Jake, just to maybe sell this movie to you. There was a moment where I wasn't enjoying the movie till about this point, and it took about 30 to 40 minutes. It's when the mummies and the mummy and the zombies have basically pinned Tom Cruise. You're like, already? Is this already happening?
Yeah.
And he looks like he's in trouble. All of a sudden, this other girl walks in. The Marion of the story walks in, and he looks over and he's like, and all the mummies look over at the same time.
Jenny!
And he goes, Jenny! And it's kind of funny because it's like, he's like, get the heck out of here. But it's funny because it just is camp.
They waited a beat too long.
I thought the timing was great.
No, because I was like, he said Jenny, and I'm like, and then the joke came, and I'm like,
It feels almost
one more
like
beat.
Evil Dead-ish or something.
And that's almost where it was.
They
It seemed
try
like-
to get there.
It seemed like the writing or everything happening with the mummies and everything was very serious, but Tom Cruise was like, this is on me. This is still a Tom Cruise movie, and I've got to sell it. And I thought he did a great job.
He was fine, but the thing is, it was a lot of cliches. For example, when they find the tomb right at the beginning again, the Jenny, the character, she's like, "Oh, look at this! These chains. They weren't made to pull something up. They were made to keep something down. Oh, look at those statues. They're facing inward instead of outward, as if they're trying to guard what's in there and not people from outside. Oh, look, there's mercury. That's intended to weaken evil spirits. Gentlemen, this isn't a tomb. It's a prison." And
I thought you had a stroke just barely.
No, because I remember she paused that long, and I went, "It's a prison. It's a prison. It's a prison." And then she said it, and I'm like, "There it is."
Yeah.
It was very lazy screenwriting in just following those points that we're so used to in these movies, and it wasn't as engaging.
Can I ask you, Joel, did you want to see just, a classic mummy movie that was not quite Brendan Fraser, but that took place 100 years ago that had explorers? Or Were you fine with the modern take?
Modern
and
take
a
was fine.
retelling of this story, The Curse of the Mummy.
The retelling was fine, and I did have to cover Kensai's a couple times because
Gets a little bit nutty.
Mummy was naked.
A little bit side naked, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes. And that
Side naked.
the story was actually like that was brutal.
A side of naked.
Yeah.
I thought her flashback story was brutal, and I was like, "Whoa, wow, that's kind of dark." And the way that went through it, I thought that was fine with her story. It was just really kind of just. I thought it could have been better, and I wanted more. I wanted something different, and instead, I got the same points as we always get in these action horror type movies.
And I totally understand that. And that's actually, I walked out of the movie going, B-. But the more I've thought about it, the more I'm like, I had fun. Like, I had a really good time.
And I didn't drop it to a D.
Sure. It's no Pirates for you or Ninja Turtles or anything like that.
No. It wasn't like I hated it. And the way the mummy kills people is actually pretty cool. Like, she gives them the kiss of death kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And the way they do it, it's kind of gruesome and awesome. And she, of course, she's regaining her strength with each one she gets. But then the zombies kind of turn into this generic horde that appears and disappears as needed.
I liked it. It felt very reminiscent of the 80s to me, more like an Evil Dead sort of thing, where they're just shambling along and disjointed. And I was like, yeah, they're hamming it up, like on purpose.
This movie also didn't have a lot of spatial awareness. Like there was that at the end when they're running away from all the exploding glass and stuff like that.
Yes.
It's like, I have no idea where they're running to or from or where the danger is. Like it was...
Surely you don't know London. Like, I don't know London.
No,
either.
but there was a part when I was like, they were running away from it. How did it suddenly get ahead of them and be fine behind? Like I was just kind of confused by it.
Supernatural. Here's what I enjoy about the movie.
4 pupils.
Yeah, the 4 pupil thing. Who knows? I enjoy the fact that it's trying to set up a universe. Maybe it wasn't completely effective. Like it's not.
I'd like to hear about that too, about what they set up for the other ones.
Nothing.
I figured that was
there
what
is Russell Crowe,
doing.
and he basically says, "Welcome to the Prodigio." Basically, his
Look, we're monster hunters.
His laboratory.
Walk past all these jars. Oh, look, there's the hand of the creature with the black lagoon. Oh, there's a skull with fangs that could be a vampire.
I was okay with that.
That was actually kind of fun.
But the fact
I'm
is,
mocking it, but I was kind of like, hey, I know what that is.
They show Crow turning into Mr. Hyde already.
No, right at the beginning, he's like, my name is Dr. Jekyll. And everyone's like, oh, yeah.
Because they needed an action scene somewhere in the middle. So they're like, yeah, we're going to have Tom Cruise fight Mr. Hyde, and that will be fun. And I'm like, no, you don't need to do that. Give Mr. Hyde another movie later. And it
could be, his is going to be like a prequel kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like
I
how
think
he
you're
came
right.
to be.
But I do enjoy the fact is, like, I don't know where this is going to go because you don't really picture these monsters being the Avengers, where they're all going to come together and fight what? I don't know. In fact, they don't really say who's good and who's bad. And it's kind of fun that way.
So, because you have no idea what they're going to do with the shared universe, it makes it more interesting, right?
Right.
A little bit. Yeah, I mean, I'm still going to watch the movies. Like I said, I love classic
No, if
movie
they
monsters.
did team up to fight something together, would that be cool to you? Or would that just be too cliche at that point?
Okay. Go back. They actually do hint at something like at the very end where they say maybe he'll join us.
Yeah, he could
fight.
be good or he could be bad, which that's kind of a spoiler right there, Jacob.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Is there a post-credit scene?
No. There's just like there's things that don't make sense in the movie and that always bugs me. Like, for example, there's a dagger, and the dagger needs a stone to go with it. And with those two things together, she can then summon Set. That's kind of what her purpose is. And so she doesn't have the stone. She's looking around for it. And
I would summon Set too.
They end up capturing the mummy and the knife. And then at one point they're like, we have to destroy the stone. And I'm like, why not destroy the knife that you have right there?
Yeah.
And I would have accepted. Let's destroy the knife. And they go in there. Chaos breaks out. They're like, okay, we can't do that. Let's go find the stone. But they didn't even try. It's just like, hey, we just got to get to this next story point. Let's just make this leap.
Right.
It's probably something they cut just for time.
So I've come under fire for being too kind to movies that are convenient, and this movie is very, very convenient. But the reason I enjoyed it is because it's really not trying that hard. It knows what it is, and it feels like a Saturday morning adventure.
I don't understand.
I can only call it an adventure. It's not trying to be a summer blockbuster.
I don't understand how you can hate on Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and then like this movie, give this movie a B and give Guardians of the Galaxy a C-.
With one word, jokes. I was interested in what was happening in the story. I didn't know what the heck the story was until an hour and 30 minutes in Guardians of the Galaxy.
And
then it got
cool.
Did. And that's it.
In this movie, you did. You knew everything
And
that was
this-
going on.
Yeah, because I was actually into it. I like adventures. I need to see more adventures, not just action movies.
There were adventures. Also, they for some reason, I mean, if your face is on the poster, don't hide the character until this big reveal. Like, they kept trying to like obscure who Tom Cruise and Russell Crowe were until they wanted to have their hero entrance and like reveal who they were. And
yeah.
I was like, we know it's them. Don't try to make it this big reveal.
That is weird.
It was weird.
I mean, there are trailers now.
Yes,
so
right.
we all know.
Exactly. And maybe people, this is for down the road and people just accidentally hit a streaming button and they see a movie, don't know what it is. But
Well, they should have left Russell Crowe out of the trailers is what they should have done.
yeah.
Right?
I want to see what they do with a modern day Frankenstein. I want to see what happens with Dracula in modern day. I think just like Joel's right, the Mummy is a weird place to start. But I think they were like, we have Tom Cruise. What's a movie we can put Tom Cruise in?
Couldn't they have made him the Wolfman? Or Dracula? He kind of did a vampire thing before.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe
That's a good
maybe
question.
That's too on the nose, though.
It might be too on the nose.
Maybe.
Jake, I think you should watch this. Have kind of really meager expectations.
Yeah.
And I think you'll walk out having a good time.
All right.
I don't think you should avoid it because,
That
like I
sounds
said,
like good advice for the listener generally. Go in
Yes.
with low expectations.
oh yeah, go with low expectations. You won't be disappointed because it's cliches, but there's some fun scenes, including the crash scene. That
But
was
it is
probably my
sounding
favorite
like a
moment.
see it, though. It's summer for a summer movie. Do you both say that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why not? It's not scary.
Look,
if a movie can't frighten, it does jump scares, and that's all this movie does is jump scares when it tries to scare you.
Joel, would you agree that this is like rental quality, like a really solid rental? But the fact is, I would see this one in the theater because I want to see more adventure type stories.
You know what this is?
Yes.
This is the type of movie, back in the day you'd rent when you were having a sleepover with your, 12, 13-year-old buddies.
Yep. Exactly.
Because it's got those scary parts, the scary elements, it's got the action elements, it's got some scandalous parts that Ken would have enjoyed as a 12 or 13-year-old boy.
Hold on. I'm the only youth that would have enjoyed some skin.
You're the There we go.
Hold on. To answer the question,
I don't have to now. But I think this is
Tom Cruise's body.
I didn't.
It's rocking.
If you don't expect this to be like a
Okay, look,
it's fluff.
That's what I said.
It's
in the
candy
beginning.
and fluff. It's not
This
a meal.
will be seen as a disappointment. It will lose to Wonder Woman, rightly so. But I still think people should see it.
You see it or rent it.
See it. See, it's a perfect like $5 Tuesday movie.
Oh, it's a $5 Tuesday movie.
Yes.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
But I'd give it C- because I don't think I'm going to watch this one again. But I am anticipating seeing the other ones.
What do you think it'll do, box office wise?
I think it will make domestically,
Yeah.
38 to 42 million.
That's it?
Yeah.
Have
I
you looked
think-
up predictions?
No.
Wow.
I'm
you
just
don't think it's
guessing
going to
here.
break triple digits?
No, I think no. Heavens no. I think Wonder Woman will make about 52 million. So
Total domestic. Oh, we're talking
this
domestic.
weekend.
I keep thinking.
I think globally the Mummy will do well.
I think so too. I think it's got a global
sure it
appeal
will.
to it. I'm thinking it's going to make $1 million.
So anything above that is a win.
Yep.
All right. So everyone, thanks for listening to us talk about the Mummy. Jake, I would love to have you to a movie soon.
Sure. BaconBit.
No.
How's that, how does that sound go?
There we have a system.
It's normally you that makes the sound.
I do the bacon bit. That's my voice.
I love Jake's sound effects so much.
Me too.
I couldn't remember how that one went.
That's the best record scratch I've ever heard.